Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
62.
I know we sound like a broken record, but I can't tell you how excited we are to have our Dr. Jennifer Finlayson-Fife with us today. She has meant so much to us in our personal lives and also in our professional lives, and it's just a pleasure to have you on with us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
You've
having
been
me.
a guiding mentor for us.
Absolutely.
And yeah.
One little thing different about Jennifer today than when we had her on last time, she is a published author. Woohoo! We're so excited that she was able to finish that book up and get it published. And today we're going to spend some time talking about it. So Amy, you want to dive in?
Sure. I'm holding the book up right now, and the book is That We Might Have Joy, Desire, Divinity, and Intimate Love. And like I usually do, it's written up and colored and dog-eared. And I love what you've done with this book because you have really profound, in-depth, meaningful ideas, and yet you were able to share them in very real, concrete, digestible examples and ways. And that's not easy to do at
Yeah,
all.
that's why it took 4.5 years.
I
But
the
I
marriage
think
survived
oh
the
yeah,
book.
oh yeah. That hasn't been a source of stress at all. Not to say that there aren't other things in our life that are a source of stress, but the book itself was a rewarding and hard experience for me, though. Meaning it was kind of this place I would go and work through these ideas. And, I'm grateful I did it. I thought at the end, even if no one read it, that was still worth it for me to sort through some of those ideas and thoughts. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool.
It's powerful. So I just want to say thank you because I can tell your heart and soul and mind and life's work are all in these pages. And not that you haven't been sharing them through podcasts and courses and teachings and presentations, not that you haven't, and retreats. It's there as well. And I think that's one of the things that I appreciate most about you is that it is such heartfelt, honest work that you're sharing with us.
Yeah, right. I was invited to write the book, 4+ years ago. And I'd said no to a lot of similar kinds of invitations, but it wasn't just the publisher itself, which is Faith Matters, and I love the work that they do, but also that the question was one that really actually spoke to me. It was a question that I also carried in my heart and wanted to sort out. It's always been implicit to so much of what I teach, but I didn't feel like I really understood the connection between sexuality and spirituality. And so part of the reason I said yes is I really wanted to figure it out and articulate it. It's one thing to think an idea, it's another thing to articulate it. Demands a higher level of coherency to articulate and teach an idea, but it demands an even higher level of coherency to write it. And so, yeah, that was definitely worth it for me.
You've definitely been on the forefront of that, right? Pushing the envelope a little bit, talking about how this goes together and a voice kind of in the darkness for us, at least for sure. It was like we'd never heard someone speak in this fact that spirituality and sexuality can coexist together. And it really was a new concept.
Yeah.
And I love how you demonstrate it through couples like Katie and Eric and Hugh and Eloise. And through those stories, you share many different couple examples in the different chapters. And you use those couples to not only describe, but also walk the journey of how sexuality and spirituality are an inherent part of our development, how they're linked. And I think that's what's so hard to do it's
Mm-hmm.
one thing to just say, oh, they're linked. Oh, here's the thing. And
Yeah.
another to actually really be able to demonstrate all of the processes and journeys
Yeah.
that can happen as we're learning. And I really appreciated that. And in so many of those couples, I saw ourselves in different stages, and also so many of the couples that we coach, and a lot of the
Mm-hmm.
same words, even that either we've said or I've heard,
Yeah.
describing feeling trapped or stuck or used or
Yes.
heavy or lost or lonely. And um, it just
Yeah.
felt so real.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people, that's the feedback I've gotten a lot, is just that I can see myself in these stories. There's stories that feel like a lot of people have written in the reviews and stuff, like I could see myself in every story. There were elements of those stories that really resonated with my experience, and I'm glad about that. Sometimes I felt like I was always writing the same story. I'd be like, wait, I need a different story. Even though it was a different couple, I'm like, it's so many of the same themes. But then maybe that's exactly the point, is that
Right.
so many of
Mm-hmm.
us are grappling with some version of this story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we find that as we do our podcast, right? We go every week, we think, oh, we're going to just replicate the same topic over and over again. And sometimes it feels that way, but you have the nuances, the things that happen that week, the clients
Yeah.
you've talked to, some insights that you've gotten. And to me, I've found that it's just the repeating process is important too, right? Because it sinks
Yeah.
in differently when you say it differently.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things I really loved you shared in this book, which I've heard you talk about, but I feel was more developed maybe in this book, was you talk a lot about the three stages of adult development:
Mm.
egocentric, social, and self authoring. And
Mm.
I love those stages. I find them very helpful, very useful for myself and again for clients. But you expanded that also to three stages of sexual development that align with
Mm-hmm.
those, with the
Yeah.
impulsivity, inhibition, and regulation. Can you
Mhm.
take a few minutes and just share what you learned and how you expanded those?
Yeah, sure. I think that, first of all, what I would say about the stages of development is that we all have to start at the first stage, and these don't determine the goodness of a person or the worth of a person. It's more where our biology and our environment and our agency has allowed us to grow. What kind of mind do we primarily live in? And so the egocentric mind is where we all start out, because we don't know another way to know the world except for how it impacts us. We have to start there. And the egocentric mind is very interested in both safety and gratification. And so it's the pleasure impulse, if you're thinking in a Freudian sense, the id, that I want what feels good, but I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to get punished. And so your morality is really framed in that way. And if you are in a neurotypical mind and you have a loving and consistent environment, you start learning how to manage your impulses. You start better managing your desire for sexual pleasure, not stripping down right before the neighbors come. Okay, if you think about what children are doing, their hands are down their pants and so on. And what a child is really learning is how to manage a body that feels in some ways like it's more in control than you are. If you ever see like preschoolers and how much they're moving around and they're lifting up their dress and they're adorable, but they're learning self-regulation, right? And the consistency in environment helps that. Well, most people, yes, I guess it's fair to say most people around age 8 or 9 grow into the social stage, which is you're not being run around by your impulses so much. And now you're more able to think about how your behavior impacts others. You're also really downloading the values of whatever group you belong to, whether it's a religious group, your family, your society. You're learning how to operate within this society. And so you're like a sponge, you're absorbing, this is how I need to behave to get the approval of others, to belong to this group, to be acknowledged as good and worthy within this group. And so you're quickly learning how to succeed. And you may feel like in this stage that these are your own independent thoughts, but they're very largely borrowed thinking. So if your family is a Democrat or Democrats, you're very likely to think that's the truer party, or vice versa, of course, or whatever religion you belong to. That's that's obviously the right way to be in the world. And so we kind of inherit that familiar role. And again, it's a very important place to be, because borrowing the wisdom of those who've come before us, internalizing, understanding. So we tend to learn the rules of sexuality from our group. And if you're religious, you learn, how does my religious group think about what is good and what is not good around sexuality? And again, this is all very valuable for learning how to handle something as powerful as sexuality, is to have some way to think about how to interact with others around it. I forgot to say one thing, is that back in the egocentric stage, you have the feeling of you've got pleasure here and inhibition here, and the two don't go together. That is spirituality or good and pleasure or bad. And so they feel like these two are very, very separate. And a lot of people continue, because of the fear of sexuality, to teach from that frame of fear. And so a lot of adolescents who grow up with parents or religious figures in their lives that have a lot of anxiety about sex will often receive a lot of fear-based messages. And so they instinctively feel like sexuality and spirituality cannot have anything to do with each other. They may move on around managing the body in many other areas in their life, but because we often teach with fear and shame, then oftentimes people actually struggle more to handle the sexual impulses of the body. And so if you think about, I've had clients who've been really shamed around food and their weight and so on. And even if in other areas of their life they've really moved forward, they can often struggle with self-regulation around food. And so might either suppress or indulge against their well-being, or some combination. And this can also happen with sexuality. But if we grow into the social stage, we may still feel the impulses of the body and sexuality a lot, but we don't feel so run around by them. We feel much more able to be responsible around our sexuality. At least as we're graduating from that stage, we feel that. And we begin to feel that if we're being sexual in a sanctioned way, and so for religious people, when you're married, for example, that then there starts to be some overlap, that I can feel good about this, I can feel at peace with this expression of sexuality. But the level of intimacy is still limited, because your sense of self is very connected to other people. I may be giving you way more than you want. Yeah.
No, keep going.
Okay. So in the social stage, you do care more about how your behavior affects other people. But your sense of self, part of the reason is because I need you to feel good about me for me to feel good about me in the social stage.
Yep.
And so a lot of times we get married partner out of that need. I need to lock someone in that's going to love me, make me feel good about me, validate the legitimacy of my sexuality, give me a sense of self. And marriage, when you fall in love, you often feel like I've solved it, I've got it. But then as you start to build a life together, then very often couples get into this struggle. You want too much sex and you don't want enough sex. And what's your problem and what's your problem? And you're trying to get from the other person the sense that you are okay. And it often, how to say it, our close relationships are often more the pursuit of approval than they are the ability to love and know another person. And so the pursuit of approval is primary to the second stage, and again is needed. But if we're going to grow into the third stage, where I might say is the birthplace of the truest form of love and desire, is you have to grow out of your dependency on approval. And it doesn't mean that you can't enjoy approval or really accommodate someone who needs something because you want them to feel okay. You can still do those things, but you're not getting run around by approval. It's not your biggest aim. You're not just trying to get other people to tell you're okay. When you move into the third stage, which the majority of the population doesn't really live there, but if you do move into that stage, you move out of I need you to feel good about me, for me to feel good about me, into who do I need to be at peace with myself? Instead of what do you want me to do or be, it's who do I want to be? What do I need to do to respect my choices? And so it's a self-authoring stage. It's having internalized, having learned how to self-inhibit, having borrowed the language and the morality of your group, and then self-defining within that, saying, who am I relative to these ideas? And no longer do I just need you to be okay with me. I want to love you as a separate person from me, because marriage pushes us up against invalidation inherently. We tend to marry people that do the world differently than we do because we find that compelling and attractive. And so then we're in that struggle of them not existing to validate us, even though we thought that's what they promised when they married us.
Yeah.
And instead, as somebody who really thinks differently, then it's asking for a different muscle, one that's usually underdeveloped in us, is love me, accept me for who I am. And as we're able to really value and care for another person without that deep dependency on them to manage our sense of self, that's where we start to feel a much deeper freedom in our sexuality, a much deeper resonance and gratitude in the intimacy of our lives, and to feel the spirituality of it. And I don't mean spirituality in the way that some of us think about that. I can talk about what I mean from those stages as well, but more of this sense of gratitude and deep connection and a sense of the beauty and the miracle of what you have as a couple, that
Yeah.
you touch that sense more frequently and feel the grounding of that intimate connection in a way that blesses the marriage and the happiness of it.
Yeah. This has definitely been the theme throughout your work from the very beginning. I know two major crucial parts of my life that you had impact on, and I've told the story before, was the one where I really discovered that my sexuality wasn't evil. I tell the story of
Yeah.
landing on the plane and I'm sobbing in the corner of the plane, listening to
Yeah.
one of your podcasts, trying not to let anyone else see me that, but it was the moment
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I've come to grips. It's not bad or evil, but how do I live my true self and my sexuality and share
Yeah.
it with Amy in a way that's not impactful? And then it was the Art of Loving course that you provide. Again, I can never forget the moment I was sitting in the barn feeding the horses, listening to it on my headset, and I'm like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, I'm the problem. This validation
Yeah.
seeking,
Yeah.
I call myself a
Yeah.
validation whore. This validation
Yeah.
seeking is so
Right.
bad that I'm looking for it. And I think, and you said this a little bit, but it really helped me. I was listening to a further podcast after that, after I'd come to grips with that,
Hmm.
where you talked about validation in itself isn't bad. Like to
Right.
receive validation is good. It's when you're
Yes.
trying to extract that out of somebody because
Yes.
they can't give it to you.
That's right. Exactly. I would say honest validation is the one of the most wonderful things in
Yeah,
life,
loving
right?
thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just wonderful. When your spouse is saying, I'm so thankful for you. You're such a gift in my life. That's validation. But if it's coming out of their honest expression of how they feel, it's wonderful. And so good romantic relationships have lots of it, but it's freely given. It's given out of an honest place. And so in order to have it be honest and free flowing, we must be willing to sacrifice it. That is to say, if my only goal is to make you like me, I'm going to hide who I am. I'm not going to tolerate the differences that exist between us, or I'm going to pressure
Yep.
you to think the same way I do. And when we do that, we run the relationship into the ground. We kill the eros energy that
Yes.
is what gives it joy. And to keep the eros alive, you have to be in the honest differences, but love in the face of them rather than hate and resent in the face of them. And hate and resent is easier than we want to admit
It
sometimes.
is very easy.
Yes. And I feel like relationships always live in these paradoxes
Mm.
where maybe one spouse represents freedom and the other represents structure, and one spouse represents maybe more vulnerability and the other one more fear, or one
Yeah.
spouse. I feel like relationships really stretch us in ways to live in these paradoxes of managing the domestic and the erotic, learning how to be intimate and still
Mhm.
hold on to yourself.
Yes.
It really asks us to be in a space that is often quite difficult.
Yes.
I see a lot of clients that they want like this binary, like either this is right or this is
Yeah.
right.
100%.
And in this, like, really thriving in a relationship, it often asks you to hold both and to see what might be
Right.
good or true or helpful or useful in
Yes.
both and live in the
Yes.
dissonance of that paradox.
That's right. So two things I'd say about that is, first of all, is that stage 3 is to live more in paradox and tension, which the ego does not like that. Okay. The
No,
ego,
not at all.
believe me, likes control. It likes
Yep.
answers. It's tell me what to do. Sometimes I teach
Give me
about
the 3
stage 3.
steps.
Yeah, I teach stage 3. I remember first teaching it to the men. They're like, okay, but what are the steps of stage 3?
Give me the 10
how,
steps.
how do you have stage 3 sex? Give me the, the how-to list. And I get it. Like
Yeah.
it's,
Give me
we
the flow
like
chart.
that.
I want A, B,
Yeah.
C, D, and E. How do I get there?
And by the way, all the
Yeah.
things you just mentioned are the things that kill Eros. Right? So
Yes, it's
yes.
so true. Exactly. And so, and then what I would say also is that eroticism, Eros, that life energy lives in tension, that the yin and yang of a relationship can be both compelling, frustrating, and life-giving. Like it's in that polarity that we birth something new, more capacity to love, right? Deeper joy between us, deeper gratitude. It is my husband's introversion and stability that I find most compelling and attractive and frustrating at the same time.
Yep.
When I
Yep.
want him to talk more, or I want to go do something new and exciting or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the polarity that's in there. And so, but
And
learning
the
to say, like,
structure and freedom, right? Like learning
Yeah.
to balance those.
and I think at first I was like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with us? Like, why maybe we're not going to be happy, rather than nothing's going wrong. All the
No,
people that
it's
were
all
like
going right.
me, I thought they were great, but I did not want to share a life in a bed with them. That's not what I wanted. And so I actually chose this person who does the world differently. And so marriage is often making our peace with that and then saying, how do I love in the face of this person who always gets it wrong? I'm just kidding. How do I
How I love them and despite them.
Yeah, exactly. To understand it as fundamental to what Eros is. And so how do I love in the face of this? Value those differences, grow myself, refine some of the rough edges of my disposition, become better, take wisdom from the other person, like really, and vice versa. And you still have your differences. The goal is not
Always.
erasing them.
Yes.
That's
No.
not even the goal. The
Not even
You
polarity.
close.
need those
No,
differences.
you do.
Yeah.
You need them. But you can use the relationship to refine them from an immature version of those differences to a more mature version and life-giving version of those differences. And also, polarity is what drives attraction. It's the difference, the mystery, the idea that I love you, but I will never have you. I'll never own you or fully understand you. That's life-giving and energy-giving to the relationship.
And I think that I've come to find out as I've coached a lot of couples, and I think especially men, that love is born in choice, right? If we get down to the bottom and we get rid of everything else, everyone just wants to be chosen by the person that
That's
they love
right.
and want to be able to choose them. And as you're talking here, my mind just realized that it is that paradox. It is that difference that gives you the choice. Like when everything is exactly the same, you really don't have a choice. But
That's
when
right.
it's different, you're like, oh, now I get to choose. Do I love them?
Right. Right.
As they
Right.
are in that difference. Yeah.
Right. When I hang out with my sister, sometimes we're very similar. We like travel very well together. We always want to do the same things. I don't know. Somehow the genetic code was very similar for the two of us. And I don't know. Is it that impressive that I enjoy her? I mean, no.
That's right.
It's just like
It'll work there, right?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't really like the scriptural. If you only love them that love you, what reward have you? There's no soul growth. It doesn't.
There's
Not
no
to dismiss
challenge
those
there.
relationships. It doesn't dismiss them. But if we only love people that make us feel good about us, I don't know. That's not really
That's good.
an
Pretty easy.
extension of ourselves. But I think Eros love asks for an honest extension of ourselves. And when we expand ourselves beyond what the egocentric, insular self we know, that's very connected to joy. It's very connected to a sense of feeling at peace with our partner and ourselves. Like the people that are the most happily married say that they felt like the marriage helped them become a better person, helped them grow beyond the self that they were originally. People that are unhappy feel that the marriage actually, that they retreat into the worst version of themselves. And so just understanding that the marriage is actually set up to pressure me to grow into a better person and stop
Yeah.
resenting it for doing what it's designed to do.
Exactly.
And I feel like before that joy comes, there's like fear.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
There's the threat, there's
100%.
the fear, there's the, oh my goodness, what is happening?
Yes,
And
100%.
You
in the face of that fear, you have the chance then to either expand or retreat.
That's
You have the
right.
chance to confront yourself or to confront their different ideas or their different philosophies or perspectives or whatever it is you're confronting,
Yes.
whatever is causing that gridlock or
Yes.
conflict. And it's
Yes.
really not like I tell so many people, it's not, they think that a happy marriage is just being a good person. And I said, no, I know plenty of fabulously wonderful people. It's
Yeah.
not really goodness of a person that
Mhm.
decides whether their marriage is thriving, but really more how much courage are they willing to take in the face of these conflicts. And I think
Yes, I
there are a
agree.
lot of really good people that are very unhappy, but not
Uh-huh.
because they have to be. It's like they're misunderstanding that this conflict or this gridlock is an opportunity, not a punishment.
I remember
Yeah.
we're listening to your Room for Two, and I can almost hear the excitement in your voice when a couple gets to this point of conflict, right? You're like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. I'm like, that is so mean, Jennifer. Why would you do that? But now being a coach and being there, I'm like, oh, now we're getting to something good. We're going to be able to make room for it to move because this
Yeah.
conflict is coming and we're actually being honest with each other and we're actually facing it. And that's when change happens, right?
Yeah. That's when change happens. And yeah, exactly. When I really get excited is when I see people be willing to acknowledge their part in the challenge,
Yeah.
their lesser self showing up, and they're valuing their integrity, what is good, over what's ego reinforcing, that they're choosing stage 3 over retreat into stage 2 or 1, because that's the birthplace of new growth. That's where
Yeah.
they, at a minimum, they will find deeper peace within themselves because they're not trying to run from what's true anymore. And there's a chance for the marriage to actually become something stronger. And so much of it is about building capacity, and capacity comes through stepping into tension. When you think about exercise, it's what you do. You go and you choose tension. And
Yeah.
sometimes in the middle of it, you're like, what am I doing here?
What did I
What
do?
am I doing? Why did I choose to do this? This hurts. This is uncomfortable. I know yesterday I was lifting
Yeah.
weights and my hands were getting like the imprints of the metal things. And I was like, I really dislike this.
Yes,
But I
exactly.
like the product of what comes from it. But in the
Yes.
moment, yeah, no.
And yeah, we don't
It's so
have to
fun.
like it, but when we
Yeah.
choose it, it's a million times easier than if somebody inflicted that suffering onto us. If we
Right.
felt like I didn't choose it, it's way harder. And so choosing the difficulty, choosing the self-confrontation, choosing the partnership, that's what gives it its capacity to thrive.
That's not natural. Like we
No.
have been naturally taught to avoid that. I was telling the client the other
Yes.
day, I was like, I felt like I spent years beating my head against the same wall over and over
Yeah.
and over again, painfully. And then right at a
Mhm.
point where I'd find a way through it, I would step back because I was done. I couldn't take it anymore.
Yes.
And having gone through it now, you see like, oh my gosh, I was almost there. So many times if I would have just stepped
Yeah.
into it,
Oh,
leaned
yeah.
into it.
Right.
And it really is different than what we've ever been taught or naturally comes to us for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It's counterintuitive. In the book, I talk about it as natural man, or the egocentric self wants control. And so not only have we often had people that teach us from that frame because it's what they know, right? But also the ego's like, you don't need this crap. Like, why are they?
Very
love to be,
defensive.
yeah, we love
Yes.
to be right.
Protective.
We can see the world from our own point of view. So in some sense, we come by it honestly because this is the way we know the world. So it's like, why do you do Christmas the wrong way? I remember thinking that about my husband a little bit. Like his family traditions were like not that fun. It was just, it sounds so dumb now, but it was just like, but rather than no, this is a whole person who's grown up in a different family style, a different tradition. And my work and his work is to sort out who are we as a couple? What are our
Yes.
traditions? And it's okay that it's different. But
Yep.
the ego's not hates it.
He-
That makes me laugh because Amy and I had a very different idea of what how traditions are made. She wanted to plan
Yes.
them out and write them out and everything. I'm
This
like,
was when we were engaged. We were
I'm like,
having
that's
Yeah.
not, traditions happen. You can't plan out a
He's like,
tradition.
traditions are spontaneous. And I said, no, they're very
They're
well
planned.
cultivated and
Yeah.
thought out and intentional. And he's like,
Yeah.
oh no, they are just a
Right.
happenstance. And so we had this planned versus
We couldn't even
spontaneous.
agree on how
Yeah.
to make it a tradition.
Yeah.
And ours
That's
are a mix
awesome.
of both.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
think that's what couples face over and over and over and over. We represent a yin and yang, a structure and a freedom, a planned and a spontaneous.
Yeah.
And so often I feel like we get in the idea of it's me versus you. Either I'm
Yeah,
right
definitely.
or you're
100%.
right and one of us is wrong. But it's actually in the struggle of trying to sort out and deconstruct what might be good in each of those that you
Yeah.
create.
All right.
It's like literally the creative process.
Yes.
Like you're
100% it
creating
is.
a new
Yes.
reality or tradition
Yes.
and
Yes.
a new space. And so often my couples really just want that binary. Okay, which one of us is right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, well,
Tell me which one.
neither
Right.
of you actually,
Yeah,
because this is
exactly.
where you engage and then actually see there's several other options
Yeah,
that
100%.
are about you creating and engaging and collaborating. And it's not an either or.
Yeah, in fact, I would say an intimate relationship is a creation. It's a creative process. It's when you really become a couple. Is who are you and who am I? And how do we forge a life together, you and me? It's inherently creative because it belongs to just the two of you and who you are and what the intimacy of who you are offers to you to work from. And so that's part of what's so powerful and meaningful and beautiful about it is you and I have created a life together, right? We've created, I don't know, my kids are out of the house now and it's my husband and I, and there's just moments when I wake up and I hear him breathing there, whatever, and just this person has shared my life with me. Like that is so amazing to have that experience, that we share all this meaning, that we've shared a life and that we've been friends in it, imperfect friends, sometimes not fair or good to each other, but we've learned from it and gotten better and better in being friends. And that's just in and of itself remarkably beautiful. My father-in-law lost his wife of 70 years last year, my husband's mother. And it's just been amazing to see what he's had to cope with in just saying goodbye to her because they created a life, shared a life. And so to say goodbye is sort of devastating to even comprehend what it really means. But such a remarkable thing to do for your life and for your family.
And I think what it requires, and you talk about this in the book, is surrender. But that surrender is not weakness. It's not me versus you.
No.
It's recognizing that as I surrender and am willing to be in this tension, to be in this unknown, to be in this uncertainty, which there always is, that a creation will be born.
Yeah.
Something will be created out of being willing to be in this tension. And that's a strength.
Yeah, 100%. We think of surrender as, oh, that's the weak one, but you're not surrendering to losing what's good. You're surrendering your lesser self for what is in fact stronger and better. You're surrendering to a process, right? That I'm not going to make my ego more important than learning how to love this person and to forge something that is good for the two of us. So my egocentrism is not as important as forging an honest and real relationship. And that requires, I've got to let go of my lesser self. I have to be willing to consider where my spouse is right. I may have to give up some things that matter to me for what I know is even better or more important. And it takes a lot of courage. And it takes a willingness to be honest with ourselves. And it's uncomfortable. And so a lot of us just resist it and resent
Or avoid.
But we don't actually surrender to this process that can grow us up and forge a heart more capable of love and intimacy and joy.
Yeah. And I find that we don't go to stage 3 and live there in glory all of our lives, right?
No, definitely.
we
I
we
wish.
we regress, right? We
Yeah,
regress
totally.
back. I feel like maybe a week ago I was at stage 1 again, right?
Yes,
And certain
totally.
things. And so it becomes challenging. And I have this question for you that's been on my mind over the last few weeks and trying to decide is that we've definitely learned that Eros energy lives in this and breathes in this boundless kind of place, right? Where it doesn't want to
Yeah.
be told what to do, it doesn't want to be
Mm.
controlled. And as soon as you do it,
We're given
poof, it's
goals
gone away or a
or
goal or have to hit
expectations.
this expectation. Exactly.
Mm.
But we also know that if you indulge in it, it can be destructive too. So,
Mm.
what are some of the things for us to help us understand how do we grow and allow this Eros energy to be part of us, but not become indulgent in it to a place where it becomes destructive? And that's, I think, for me, I find myself running up and down the scale on all three of those when it
Mm.
comes to Eros
Yeah.
energy. Really,
Well, what I would actually say is you can't indulge in eros. And that is, you can indulge in the pursuit of validation, in the pursuit of sexual validation. You can indulge in your sexuality in a way that actually undermines eros.
okay,
Right.
yeah.
So
Tell us a little more about that. Yeah.
a lot of people are sexual, but actually in a way to escape life. Or
Mm,
people will consume food, for example, not in a way that accrues to their joy, not in a way that opens them up to life and the beauty in it. They do it in a way to escape life, to escape themselves. They're looking for a kind of oblivion. And that is the opposite of the erotic. Eros is always life giving, is the way the Greeks thought about it. Okay.
uh,
So erotic is life giving sex. A red light district has no eros in it. Sex is
mm,
everywhere, but it's despair.
mm,
It's it's giving up. It's trying to escape life. It's indulging because what else is there? And that closes us down. And so we can certainly relate to sexuality in ways that hurt our relationships, hurt
Mhm.
our relationship to ourself, to our integrity. But Eros is, I don't mean that we have to always be growing and changing. So I think there's certainly room for stasis and grounding. We don't have to always be in a state of expansion, of course. But Eros is to be alive in the marriage. And the two fastest ways to feel that in a marriage is to speak about something you don't want to deal with in the marriage, to be more honest, to bring more truth between you. That is
Mhm.
life giving. It's also
right.
conflict giving, but it does
Mhm.
open you up into growth. Another thing is
Right.
new experiences, going and doing things in an embodied way, especially that increase that sense of aliveness, that you're not just in the kind of habitual and the familiar and the routine. That also is a way of giving you access to that energy. And you can you could put those two together, reveal your sexual mind more honestly, and do something you haven't done before. Okay, not against your integrity or anything like that. I just mean what I've always sometimes thought about or wondered, or that can be scary. We tended to be sexual in very routinized ways because we're afraid of the intimacy of revealing ourselves more. These are ways that give us that life-giving energy and invite us to grow. And that's always where it exists. And that's always where we feel the deepest joy.
So if a person is engaging in a sexual behavior, but it's hidden, then it can't be eros or life-giving.
No, it's not.
I want to focus back on the word you use, embodiment.
Yes, I
Because to
love
Yeah.
me,
that
that
word.
is huge. Because I've spent a
Yeah.
lot of time lately realizing that the fantasy and the thought and the sexual mind is healthy and it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you stay in that place
Mm-hmm.
and don't come to the embodiment or bring yourself to your spouse in a real way in the now, what's going on right now, and reveal that mind to them, then you're setting expectations that are hidden and you're
Mm-hmm.
putting a contract around them. And that just destroys everything too. And
Yes. And
so
it's
it's taken me a
validation
while.
pursuit.
Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
validation pursuit. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's taken me a while to realize that those fantasies and stuff and to have that sexual mind is fine as long as when I'm engaging back in our relationship, I'm coming back to the embodiment of it. And that's what I love it. I'm
Yeah.
bringing it back to the relationship
Yeah.
and not leaving it in that futuristic mind of that sets
Yes.
expectations that they'll never hit me because I don't even
Yeah.
know them.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah, and just pushing ourselves, like we can escape into our minds and escape into an idea about who our spouse should be sexually, but we can also do it. I see women often do this. If he really loved me, he would say this, he would do this, he would think like this, and have expectations and resentments that we don't, I don't know how to say it, take deeper responsibility for who we are and for who they are, and stop trying to get them to be like us, but also with dealing more honestly with who we are, bringing that tension into the relationship, working with it. We are different. How do we stay honest and
Yeah.
fair in these differences?
Uh-oh. When Amy gets that look, I'm about to get something.
Laughing because this was totally me, and we talked about this on a podcast when I would set out a laundry basket and count how many times he went past it without ever telling him that, hey,
Oh my gosh.
that's you, and now I'm resenting you. And if you were a good husband, you would see that laundry and you would put it away, knowing that I had done the 3 previous steps. And that's an
Yeah.
unfair expectation,
Sure.
and trying to avoid the tension of, I would really like your help, or can we partner in this? And avoiding that either conflict or confrontation or hardness. And yet I could just sit and count. All
A
right, there's
secret
10,
superiority.
11,
Yeah.
12,
Yeah.
you know, and
Right.
resent.
And even
each
better,
time.
go
And-
tell a girlfriend, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, that's
my
the worst.
husband's
My
terrible."
husband walked past it 17 times." Like, I mean, we love that stuff. And men can do a similar version, which is, poor me, I never get the sex that because
Yeah,
my wife
yeah.
has got issues or whatever. We don't actually tolerate the exposure and living more responsibly. We like
Right.
the secret superiority, and so we do it easily.
Yeah.
It's almost like we do it because if we are open about it, we're going to get an answer and we have to live with it.
Yeah,
And
it's
it's
just
easier
that
to
reality.
it's easier to, in our minds, think of these other things and find excuses and everything. But now if
Yeah.
I ask, I'm going to get a yes or no, or I'm going to get like,
Yes.
hell no, maybe. So
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
mind feels so justified. Like, I'm definitely right
Yes.
that he should definitely know that it's his job
Yes.
and there's no other
Yes.
option here. And you live in that. This is reality. And you really
100%.
justify whatever,
Yes.
you have in your mind.
Oh, yeah. We do it so easily. It's like when you have
Mhm.
conflict with somebody and you're not dealing with it, usually what people are doing are spinning stories on their
Yeah.
side
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
makes them look like the good and the other one is the bad.
The
And
villain. Yep.
the villain, and you
Yep.
just like that
Mhm.
victim villain story, and you tell it to
Yep.
yourself over and over, and you find people that are accomplices in your story.
And you get more evidence and more evidence. And
Yeah.
you just keep gathering it. And you're like,
Yeah, and it feels
they're
so
the
good
worst.
and bad at the same time. And then
Right.
it's not
Right.
until you push those two stories up against each other that you're like, maybe my story wasn't as comprehensive as it could have been.
maybe there's a few flaws in
Yeah.
it.
So it's not just the no. It's yes, as Greg is saying, it can be like maybe they'll just say no, never, and that's disappointing. But often I don't even want to look at my story that honestly
fractures our
through
story.
another person's eyes.
Mhm.
I could really challenge my story, and I like my
Yeah,
story.
I mean,
Yeah,
So,
my story
yeah.
could fall apart right in front of me. And
Exactly.
then what am I left with?
yeah.
Exactly.
Goes back to what you taught me in Art of Loving, and the thing that I think really changed our marriage is when I asked Amy what was hard about being married to me, and I was sincerely
Yeah.
wanted her opinion, where before I really
Yeah.
didn't want her opinion.
Yeah, sure.
And probably one of the hardest days of my life, but really the turning point to our marriage, I think, is when she and miraculously she decided to be honest, which was different, and really tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah, couples are
great.
so afraid of honesty. I run into it from both sides. I run into it from the men who are like, my wife can't tolerate this. I've got to take care of her. This would burden her. Or the wives who are just so fearful of actually admitting what they are really not enjoying, that they're pretending or performing, or how heavy or lonely or sad or whatever it is that's going on.
Yes.
And I think that's one of the first points I really pressure on a couple is how to learn to tolerate more honesty in yourself and also of your
Yes.
spouse.
Yeah. Yep. And it is a capacity you grow.
Yeah.
Right. We don't
So-
come with it,
so-
honestly.
Really, not at all.
Not at
No.
all.
No. No. It's like
think
we
the
all
other
say we
tool
love
that
the
we-
truth, but do we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we really?
Yeah.
Thing that comes with it sometimes. I think the other tool that we really leaned into too is the curiosity on the other side, right? So taking things at face value and trying to make sense of them is one thing, but when I doubled down and really like, well, why do you feel that way, Amy, or what's behind that? That's when you open up and get to know someone in a more very
Yeah.
intimate way. And we want to
100%.
stay on that shallowness because it makes us, I think it's our stories you're telling again. It keeps our stories
Yes.
intact.
Yep.
And I say double down on curiosity. You'll never go wrong.
Yeah,
do
no,
that.
it's true. It's true. And when people feel understood, right, not only is it good for the listener because it complicates reality more in a good way, it gives more reality to your thinking and your decision making, which always makes it better for that you see more truthfully. But also, when someone feels understood and cared about, they're just instinctively more receptive to you. It's this person's
Yeah.
not just trying to change me. They actually are listening to me. They understand. They really want to understand my experience, but it just makes it intuitive. It doesn't mean people have to do it, but it's very intuitive to then really listen to the other person and why do they see it differently or how do they see it? It really is the most powerful relational skill that we have as a tool in our relationships and the one that is the hardest to do.
Because
I
to be
love to
curious,
teach
you
it.
have to not be in that defensive state.
Right. And I love teaching listening skills. I don't like listening as much as teaching them.
Don't practice what you teach.
I mean, I force myself through it, but sometimes it's just like, okay, just breathe. My only goal is to understand, just to understand the dumb
Yes.
idea.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
we've come with
because,
a practice, a daily practice has really helped us by doing this emotional sharing. We spend every night 5 minutes each, and one person just has to shut up and listen. And I think that was the
Yeah.
hardest part for me. Like just processing through my own emotions as Amy shared hers, all the
Yeah.
triggers that she just set off was hard.
Yeah, yeah.
I am his trigger.
In the best way, man. In the
Yeah.
best way.
Yeah, exactly.
But that is the hard
It's
part.
great.
Just
It is hard.
do it.
Mm-hmm.
I did have someone ask me the other day, he said, always have to be a crisis. Can I just learn to see myself faster and learn to see
Yes.
these blind spots? Does it have to take a conflict? And so I've been thinking about that, and maybe not crisis, but does it always have to be a conflict? And I think maybe not conflict
I
in
do think it
fighting,
has to
but
be a
conflict as in
conflict. I
those
think it has,
realities bumping up. Yeah, go ahead.
yes, I think it's always a conflict, which is very different than a crisis. So it's always a conflict. This is what what I teach in my new course, Sex Worth Wanting, is that the driver of growth is conflict. And it's at a minimum conflict between the world as you imagine it is and the world you're experiencing. So you're saying, wait a minute, my map of reality and reality don't seem to go together.
They don't add
And
up.
so you change your map, as in your mind is, you rewire your mind in ways to accommodate more truth and more reality. And that's how you deepen capacity. And of course, the egocentric desire is to
Fight to get-
resist the
Yeah,
reality. I
yeah.
don't even want to see it. It's too uncomfortable. The erotic decision is I'm going to go through the uncomfortable process of reworking my view of reality. What I would say is that sometimes it requires crisis for us to tolerate the reorganization. Like life is almost forcing the reorganization. It doesn't have to. People can still resist even in crisis. But the healthier you are, the less crisis that is needed to rework your map. The healthier you are, the more willing you are to stay open to what's true before people are offering getting papers from the attorney. Sometimes that's when people will wake up, is when their spouse is wanting to leave. Then they're like, wait a minute, you mean you really aren't happy? I just thought you were saying that. Rather than there had been lots of indications of your spouse's unhappiness, but you didn't want to deal with it. If we're healthier, we deal with it more immediately. Hey, what's behind that face? Are you not happy with what I'm saying? You know, that's a healthier couple, is you're more willing to go immediately into what in front of you.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. We fall in the same holes and we trip up on the same rocks. And I don't think that will ever go away. That's why we have this relationship to strengthen us, right? But we just overcome it so much faster than we used to because of the tools we have.
Yep, that's right. That's how progress
think-
happens.
Yep.
I think we're just a little more like, I feel like the first few times you really walk through the big conflicts in your marriage, you're really not certain there is an actual other side, or that it actually will lend something worth having and enjoying, that there will actually lead to some type of creativity or connection. Like you're really, really uncertain about that. And we were very uncertain about that. And so it's terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. And I think
Yes.
maybe what is a little bit more comfortable now is we know that it's terrifying, but we also have some evidence that if we just keep going, the
Yeah, you
terror will
have
lead to
more
joy.
faith in the process. You have more
Yeah,
faith
yeah,
in the
yeah.
process. Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's 100% what I think is also a part. Like, I know that listening will make things better. I know that calming myself down and not being reactive will make things better. You start knowing, even though you may still hate the process, you have more faith in it. You trust
Yeah.
it more. You submit to it more readily.
Mhm. Yeah.
Absolutely. We're almost up on an hour here. I think we could spend all day with you, Jennifer. We do a whole thing. In fact, I'm trying to convince Christy to convince you to have come out here to Texas.
We've been looking at.
We want to. We would love to host you at
For
a
a
date
date
night
night.
and find a
Yeah,
venue for
well,
you. So
I think that
Christy
could
said
work out.
maybe.
she sent
I-
her to Texas
She said
anyway.
not to
Yeah.
tempt you with tacos though, but to tempt you with salads. And so
We'll find the
Exactly.
best salad place.
Yeah. Yeah, we did our Eros tour, 1.0.
yes,
Yeah.
I love
We're
that
planning
Eros tour shirt.
2.0. I know the Eros tour.
Yeah.
I know Christy's got to make more t-shirts, but
She
we
does.
will.
I wanted one.
I know she really does need to take orders.
That
you
was
know, she should.
clever. Oh my goodness.
I mean, I still owe you that hug, by the way. That's the other thing too. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. Have I never met you in person? I
No,
guess not.
No.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
jealous.
Yeah. Well, definitely. So maybe, I think we're planning our Eros tour 2.0 and Texas could be a good call,
Yes.
especially in January.
Texas has great salad.
Yeah, we'll find you the best
Amazing
salad of your
cuisine.
life.
Salad you will
Awesome.
never forget.
Way to set expectations up, babe. No.
I just want to share about your book. Please, everyone, go buy it yesterday. Go get it now. You will relate. You will understand. It will open your mind. It will help you in this journey. It will help you see you're not alone. It will help you understand how creating intimacy it works and the skills and the points that it pressures on you and that is normal. But you have so many powerful quotes in there. I started listing them and I just ended up with a whole page. So I just at least wanted to read one because I just want to give you credit for your awesomeness. There is a quote on page 186 and it says, "Cultivating soulful intimacy takes more than attraction. It requires our faith. Not only faith in our partner, but faith in ourselves, in the truth of our own worthiness and the truth of theirs. To let another soul touch us, to allow divine love to move through us, we must be willing to lower our guard, to risk truly being seen. That kind of surrender is not weakness, it is strength. It is a deliberate letting go of ego and control in the hope that we are worthy of love and capable of loving in return." And I feel like you really describe that whole process of letting go the ego, learning how to love, learning to let go in the strength of surrendering. And I just love your book. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
We start seeing this a little bit, having coached ourselves. The joy that comes watching a couple actually go through this process and come out the other end is you can't describe it.
Yeah, you see the light
There's
come
not
back in their
words for it,
eyes
right?
and they're looking at each
Yeah.
other again. And when they first come,
Yeah.
like eyes down, coldness, like a cold front between them. And
Yeah. Yeah.
and then when you see that warmth and joy and attraction come back, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
It is. Yeah.
I just don't think we can ever thank you enough. I really don't. And we appreciate you for being brave and being a voice in the wilderness and really have changed our lives. So thank you so much. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate that.
Thank you guys.
We adore
Thank you
you.
so much.
We want to be on
You're
your
so kind.
Eros tour. We'll follow you. We'll be your, what do they call
We're
fans?
groupies.
Groupies. We'll be your groupies.
All
That's so
right. Well,
awesome.
thanks everyone for joining us. Go up to langfordlifecoach.com and you can find this very book on our book section and go buy that.
Please
We would love for you to do that. And until next time,
keep undressing your intimacy.
bye-bye.